Well, I want to welcome everybody today to our third in a series of videos on virtual judging. And this one has been long awaited because it follows the introduction to the new virtual playbook that USA Gymnastics has put out. And we're very happy to see that because it answers a lot of our questions, but it also builds on the experience that has already been accumulated, particularly in Region 7. So today we're going to focus in this video though on questions that are specifically related to judges and some questions that judges have asked. And we have a group of experts with us to help answer that. So I'm going to start with the person in the middle on my screen. Christy, you would introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Nike. I am your Women's Development Program Director in the national office. I have to say that a couple of times, get used to it. Super happy to be here. I am in no way an expert. That's why we have Region 7 here. So looking forward to it.
Hi, I'm Connie Maloney, and this is going to be really hard for me because I've been saying it for 30 years. Christy's only been saying it for one. The Women's Development Program Technical Director, and I've had the pleasure of listening to some of the Region 7 meets and their thing on Sunday night, and it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm sure that a lot of your questions will be answered over the course of our discussion today. Thanks for being here.
Hi, I'm Jane Caruso. I'm the Excel chair in Region 7, and my focus with this endeavor has really been on trying to give the judges some hands-on training, trying to find situations where they could sit through a mock meet and actually do some virtual judging.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Sinnel from New Jersey, the Region 7 NAJ RJD, and I've been involved with the judging end of it also, and just trying to make the judges feel comfortable with doing it and having practice sessions.
Hi, I'm the Region 7 Technical Committee Chairman. We've been involved in Region 7, really trying to make virtual judging happen. And it really, as far as I can see, has been very successful. So far, I've judged all of our virtual meets. Our scores, incredibly, at least on my end, have been like our last. Were within 0.2 of each other continually, and that's like on a computer, you know. The last one we did was a hybrid meet, so part of the meet was live. We were in the gym, but the rest was virtual for us. We were just on our computers, and I think it's been very successful.
Hi, I'm Linda Johnson, and I am the USAG Women's Developmental Program Committee Chair from Region 7, formerly JOCC. And I have been involved with our test events and piloting in Region 7 as sort of more of the meet director perspective. And we have organized and run test events that have been using a modified traditional format and a modified Capital Cup format. So using multiple locations, we've integrated Pro Score, push scores out to meet scores online. So we've done this in sort of a step-by-step process, and I'm hoping to just share information with people around the country, and let's give something back to these athletes this year.
So now I thought a good thing to do would be to show you what a virtual meet actually looks like. It's something we had the most questions about was, where do you put the camera? Will I be able to see correctly? Whatever. So I was able to observe Region 7's meet when they had 8 different gyms involved, meaning that the athletes from each gym were at 8 different gyms, and they were literally being judged by one set of judges who were judging virtually. Started with warm-ups, you know, and I don't know why that surprised me that we would get to see warm-ups, but there it was. We were able to see the athletes doing their warm-ups, and because they had these breakout rooms, we could see the gymnasts in the different rooms when they were ready to line up for competition. This is a picture of the gymnast as they were lined up in front of one of the events, ready to present themselves. And you can see they're in full leotards and they're all dressed just like they would be if they were in an in-person meet. And then because we had so many questions about how far back do you set the camera and what is the view going to look like, I wanted to show you a couple of different pictures of just the apparatus. So this is one of the views of vault, which you can see is a really pretty good view. And here is a gymnast who's doing her vault. The video was clear. This is just the freeze frame of it. And of course, she's blurry there, but you can see that you actually can see pretty clearly her height, distance, and some of the deductions that you might want to take for body shape. This particular view for bars was really excellent because the lighting was so good. And of course, it's wonderful to see a handstand like that where the gymnast has got great alignment all the way through to the toes too. And then here's another one where it was a little darker, but actually this was one of the best views for judging because there was no glare coming from behind because of any windows or mirrors. And here we had a picture of beam. Beam didn't seem to be too much problem. And then floor, there were some different views so that you can see here is one view that's on the diagonal, another that's in this pretty much the same position. And then this one, the club tried to use that fisheye wide angle lens approach. It provided a little bit of distortion, and I think they decided not to do that, but it was a worthwhile attempt to see if that wouldn't work.
One of the things that's important is, from a meet director standpoint, is that there are meetings set up in advance to review those camera checks. We had a 3-step process. So I met with all of the clubs prior to the test event. I did camera checks when they were in the open gym for timed warm-ups or open stretch. So they were always checked again before they went to their competition room. Mm-hmm. And then the head judge checked it again once they entered the competition room. So I think the thing that to remember is that gyms are all set up differently. So you're not going to have the exact same view, but we've provided, or I know in the virtual playbook, they have suggestions to help people out. But from a judge's standpoint, just recognize that it's not going to be perfectly the same as you could see in some of those pictures from gym to gym, but that didn't impact the scores. The judging panels were able to stay consistent regardless.
Anybody else in terms of just equipment placement in your viewpoint?
This isn't equipment placement. The first slide that you have on floor, Cookie, was at a gym, and it looks a little bit dark, and that was simply due to the fact that the windows weren't covered, because a couple of days later we did another event in that gym and it was as bright as can be. So, you know, the time of day can help, the fact that you cover windows can help. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that there was a big difference. Okay.
And that was true about that beam. Actually, the reason I took that picture is because the camera was facing the mirrors on the wall, and that causes a little bit of a blurring effect. And you could see that one particular setup for beam caused some distortion in the screen, but it really didn't interfere with judging. You could still see the athlete very clear. It just wasn't a crisp, sharp picture like we would ordinarily want for our videography. All right, so we're going to move into the virtual playbook that USAG just released. This is a dynamic document, and it's changing as the office gets feedback. And they've already made a couple of changes based on feedback from Region 7 and others. So one of the things that you'll want to do is always make sure that you go to the website before you judge a virtual meet. And as a judge, you check to see if there are any changes. And Christy, I'm going to ask you if you wouldn't mind starting off and just telling us a little bit about the playbook.
Sure. Well, I can definitely piggyback on that and say that we have already made a couple of changes. It's been out for what, 3 days? So it's going to be a very, very fluid document. We're going to make changes as the community starts experimenting with the virtual competitions. And we're just kind of leaning on everyone to provide that feedback on what works and what doesn't work. So I'm not going to read everything to you. Obviously, you can go and look. The main thing for virtual competitions, we want to allow flexibility. We want, if you've been piloting with Zoom, we want you to use Zoom. We want you to use what you're comfortable with. With the virtual live stream format, the way that it was originally worded, it was basically just telling you that you had to have panels of nothing but virtual judges. That is not true. So this has been updated to reflect that you can have judging panels of either all virtual or a hybrid makeup of some virtual, some on site, and that's going to depend on the makeup of your competition. If you are a gym and you are able to hold multiple clubs in one spot and have some on-site judges there, but you have another club that's not able to physically be there, but they still want to take part, so they would virtually live stream in. So there's a virtual aspect and then an on-site aspect. So that's been updated. So there's two different formats. You have your virtual live stream format. This is basically your Zoom, your Skype, your Google Meets, or there is an option to pair the Flyp10 platform, which I'll speak to in just a little bit. If you pair that with or something of Zoom type quality, that would allow your athletes to qualify for mobility. Now, if you just do the Flyp10 alone on its own, as of right now, that would just be considered a video submission format, and that would not be considered for mobility. Each individual state administrative committee is going to determine if either of these formats will be allowed for qualification. So if you have any questions on that, you would need to reach out to your SACs. We have a couple of different platforms that we're allowing at this time. If you don't see the platform that you would like to use, you just need to send an email to myself and I will get you an answer back. Video requirements, you guys have already kind of gone through that a little bit. So you have to have a static camera. It just kind of goes through all of these things that are going to give you that best outcome. A couple of different ways that we would like you to capture each of the events, a width and a height measurement. It's not 6 feet away from an apparatus. It is, I need to be able to see this. So that's your virtual playbook. Again, very fluid. The Flyp10 platform. Flyp10 is who we have partnered with to help with the virtual sanctioning piece. It's kind of like an in-gym critique type option. So what you would do is you would video a routine, you would upload it to the platform, and you have an option to either just get a score back or to get more detailed judges' feedback. So this is just kind of a quick overview of what you can expect to see from a judging perspective getting onto the Flyp10 platform. You can see down here you have two different types of scorecards to choose from, your score only or your score with your judge's notes. It's going to tell you how to sign up as a Flyp10 judge. So this is what your dashboard is going to look like if you are signed in as a judge on the Flyp10 platform. You'll see that you have some new routines. You have a couple of different things in your queue over here. This is what your queue is going to look like. Two types of queues. And so it has a video player that looks just like a YouTube player. This is the score only scorecard. So if you would like to leave a comment for the athlete, then you would enter your score and then submit it. This is your scorecard with your judge's notes. So this is a little bit more in detail, it looks like, of what you can do, what you can add, some additional things on your judge's notes scorecards. Looks like you can pause and add a comment. Very helpful.
So that looks to me like that could be a really great tool for some of our states who are, instead of having judges cups like they traditionally do, they're going to do in-gym critiques and provide feedback. And this seems to be like this would be an ideal platform for them to use for that purpose. But one of the items that was in the playbook that was a little confusing to me when I read it was that Flyp10 can only be used for this kinds of either in-gym critiques and feedback, but it by itself could not be used for mobility meet purposes. But if we pair it with something live, it could be. So could you explain the rationale for that?
Absolutely. So obviously you can see that the Flyp10 it's more of a record and upload type of format. The previously JO, now WDP, if you will, committee, they did agree to allow virtual sanctions, but only in a live format. So if you take a Flyp10 and you just upload a video, that's not going to be considered live. But if you put it together, you have your Zoom going, you're watching the routines, you can verify that that routine that's uploaded was the first attempt. So it helps with the integrity of the competition. Hoping that we won't receive uploads on Flyp10 that are third attempts.
Right.
So that's kind of why the pairing with Zoom is a great option. It's also a great thing, and I would highly suggest that if you're just doing that live stream format, you still have an additional person that's going to record on another device because of technology, of internet that works great 1 second and then could go out the next second. If you have someone that's recording and taking an actual video of each routine, you're going to have that backup just in case. And that's where Flyp10 kind of goes hand in hand. And I think will work out really well.
That's awesome. So it'll really be good for in-gym critiques, but it's also a good backup in case we have a technology problem using a live format. I want to pause at this point in time because across the country, there's so much variation. Some people are doing live meets and they don't even see the need for a virtual format. And others, particularly Region 7, I think they've been really concerned that their athletes are not going to have apparently very many opportunities to participate live in meets this year. So this is, and even if they do later on, it gives them the opportunity to start working on their competitive routines now.
Our goals really are to give the athletes a season. They need a season. 2020 has been a year of uncertainty, and we are doing everything that we can to provide for them. So that's why we are doing this.